Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formats out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Edward, and it is, what do you think about DICE creating a map that takes place in a large skyscraper? It would have many floors with capture points and the objectives on the different floors. One team would spawn on the roof and the other on the ground level. What do you think? This is a really cool concept for a map. What I'm imagining is basically what we had back in the Battlefield 3 Close Quarter DLC, Zeba Towers, but instead of just having one floor that is our playground, extend it down 3 or 4 levels and then just open it up to 64-player conquest. That could be incredible. Especially since now that DICE is taking feedback for community-based maps, I would be on board with this. If it had the micro-destruction that we had back in Battlefield 3, or even if it just had a moderate amount of destruction where we're able to punch through walls, move between all the different floors, and have that really close-quarter infantry-based gameplay inside of a skyscraper, that could be an incredible addition into the game. The tricky thing about a skyscraper map, though, is figuring out how to design it in a way where there are plenty of routes and avenues to move between the different floor levels. If there's only 4 or 5 staircases to move between the floors, it's going to turn into a hot mess. It would turn into Metro 2.0. One team starts at the top, one starts at the bottom, you move into the center, and then it's going to turn into a staircase camp simulator. No one is going to want to go up or down these staircases because they know that anyone at the top is going to have their iron sights up, waiting for anyone to peek their head out and get shot from a million different angles. There's no way you'd be able to combat that. And so if they wanted to do something like this, they would really need to figure out a clever way of having multiple routes and avenues to move between the different floors to make sure that these natural choke points don't become a serious issue. I have faith in DICE that they would be able to find a workaround. One idea that I had off the top of my head is why not bring in some roof or floor destruction. Place C4 on a key part of the map, open up a completely different route for you and your team to jump down and catch your enemy by surprise. They could also add in elevators, maybe a grappling hook on the side of the map, allowing you to flank around and take out the enemy that are camping around the staircases. There are myriads of different ways that they could approach it, but this would be something that they have to take into consideration if they ever did decide to create one of these skyscraper maps. Overall, though, this is a very unique concept. I don't think that they've ever done anything like this in the Battlefield franchise, and so if done correctly, I think that this could be an amazing addition into the game. The next question comes from Mason, and it is, what do you think about giving some buffs to the tanker in Battlefield Hardline Hotwire? It is slow and can only carry 1 passenger, and so do you think that it could use an upgrade? I would have to agree with you. Right now, there isn't a whole lot of incentive for anyone to want to jump into that capture point. It might have a little bit more HP than some of the other vehicles, I'm not exactly sure. But overall, anyone shoots an RPG, an M320, or just slowly whittles it down with the small arms fire, simply because that capture point, the tanker, doesn't move very quickly, it's basically a free kill for anyone who initiates the firefight. You can't fight back, you can't outmaneuver anyone, and it's basically just this sitting duck waiting to explode. The explosion is awesome, and it's one of the most iconic things in Battlefield Hardline, but it would be nice if there was a little bit more incentive for people to jump into that vehicle so you can have those amazing moments on the battlefield. And so one way that Visceral could make this vehicle more tantalizing for players to jump into is, well, first of all, increase its HP, but also have the passenger have access to something like a mounted 50 cal or maybe a minigun. That way, when the enemy is trying to take it out, it's not just a sitting duck. They have some firepower to retaliate. What I love about this idea is that it actually bring in some interesting interplay there. If you're driving around in a sports car and you come across the tanker, you need to make the decision to either just try and destroy it outright by firing a bunch of M320s at it, quickly destroying it before the passenger can even take you out, or go for the passenger first because you know that he has the capability and the firepower to quickly destroy you with that 50 cal machine gun. That would be one way to go about it. Another way that they can incentivize people to jump into the tanker is simply reward them a lot of points for driving this thing around. Yeah, they're eventually going to die. Yes, they are a sitting duck, but they are getting rewarded in the point department, and that could be another way to get people to actually jump into the tanker and drive this thing around. But let me know what you guys think about the tanker. Do you have any interesting ideas on how to make it a little bit more appealing on the battlefield, or do you think it should stay exactly as it was in the beta because you thought it was perfect? Let me know down below. The next question for today comes from Dallas, and it is, what do you think about the riot shield having a small chance of deflecting bullets and hitting the enemy? That is a really cool idea. As we all know, the riot shield is pretty much one of the most useless gadgets in the game. Some people use it every once in a while, but when we compare it to the other gadgets at the disposal of the support class, its power doesn't even come close to the usefulness of the other accessories. That being said though, even though it sounds awesome, it would be a really cool addition to the game, I don't know if the Frostbite engine is even capable of having a ricochet effect like that. It wasn't in Bad Company 2, or at least not to my knowledge. It wasn't in Battlefield 3 or in Battlefield 4, and so I don't even know if the engine has this capability. And so if that is true, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to add it into Battlefield 4 or even into a future Battlefield game. But as for actually increasing its viability and making this thing more of a useful gadget, I don't know if this would have much of an impact. Yes, it would be amazing, and if you were able to kill someone by having the bullets ricochet off of your shield and slamming into an enemy, that would be one of the best ways and most humiliating ways of killing an enemy in Battlefield, but I don't know if that would be enough to increase its power and make it a must pick for the support class. What I would really like to see is either make it like it is in Battlefield Hardline, because that gadget is phenomenal in that game, or just increase its size in Battlefield 4 and also make the shield, or that glass shield, less likely to break. Right now, if a flash grenade happens right next to you, that stupid glass breaks because of that. Like 2 damage happened to you, but just because it was a flash grenade, it explodes and now you are completely vulnerable to everyone around you. It's really frustrating when that happens. And so I like your idea, I really like the concept, but I don't even know if DICE has the ability with the Frostbite engine to do it, or if it would even be all that beneficial on the battlefield, because I don't know if it would have enough impact to make this a must pick for the support class. Solid idea though. The next question for today is, one thing that annoys me and prevents me from using claymores or mines is the fact that the enemy can destroy them without you knowing this. You would wait for a kill that never comes. What do you think of a message on the screen that tells you that one of your claymores has been destroyed? Well, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of sympathy out of me, because I think I've made it abundantly clear in the past that I'm not much of a fan of claymores in really any first-person shooter. I realize that it does take some thought, you need to know where to place these things down on the battlefield, but just the idea of getting a kill where you're not even around the explosion or where it happens just rubs me the wrong way. Mines are fine, I have no problems with mines because that makes sense, but at least for infantry, it's just something that I've never really been a fan of in first-person shooters. That's just my opinion, though. The strength of the claymore, though, other than the fact that it can give you a free kill, is that if you are observant and you are using this as a perimeter defense to watch your back, it can act as an alarm system, letting you know when an enemy is about to flank around and catch you by surprise, and then hopefully you can turn the tables on them. There has been so many times where I have gone for that flank. I really worked for it, I went around the map, and then I run into a claymore. I have no grenade that I can throw to take it out. I have an unsuppressed weapon, I fire at it, the enemy realizes that I'm on the minimap, and that flank that I really worked for is completely ruined because of this gadget. It happens a lot on the battlefield. And so I think that if they gave you this message alerting you, letting you know even further, like a flashing on your screen, I think that would be pushing things a little bit too far. Personally, I just think that you need to be more observant of your surroundings or use this tactically. Use it as a perimeter defense, an alarm system, and not just placing this down anywhere on the map and expecting to get kills or knowing when it exploded. I could see this being alright for maybe mines, because I know there's a lot of times where you have absolutely no idea if your mines are still on the battlefield, but even for those, it still kind of notifies you if an enemy is around that area, and I don't know if that is something that players should have access to. That's just my opinion though. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.